Hello. In this video, we will discuss common troubleshooting steps that address the most frequent issues that customers experience with Megaport services. This video is aimed primarily at company and technical admins responsible for network troubleshooting. We will cover regular Layer 1 issues along with helpful suggestions for best practices. Let's get started. You should be familiar with basic data center networking and have company or technical admin privileges on the Megaport portal. Megaport operates at layer 1 and 2 on the OSI model. Anytime that there's an issue with your Megaport service, it's important to rule out layer 1 issues first before troubleshooting layer 2. However, the troubleshooting steps are slightly different if your service is new and yet to come up for the first time. Please keep in mind that as a layer 2 service provider, layer 3 protocols such as your BGP session are not visible to Megaport and require us to work together to troubleshoot such issues. If your port is new and hasn't been up before, or you haven't ordered a port yet, you may wish to take a look at our port activation and troubleshooting guide before proceeding. You can find it on our portal at docs.megaport.com/troubleshooting/activation. It provides a broad overview of the port ordering and troubleshooting process. If your port has already been established but is currently down, you may wish to skip ahead to the next section titled Troubleshooting Down Ports. Once you've submitted your LOA to the data center, they should run your cross connect and supply you with a cross connect confirmation and a cable ID. Please retain this information as it helps us to identify and locate your connection. Every once in a while, your port may come up before you submit your LOA. In the unlikely event that this occurs, it generally indicates a problem with patching, and you should reach out to your customer support team for assistance. If your cross connect is complete, but your port remains down, please ask the data center to roll the fiber. In other words, ask them to reverse the polarity on the fiber connection. This is generally the most common step that is required after the cable has been connected. We highly recommend adding this into your scope of work as a final step with the data center when submitting your cross connect order with them. In addition, please make sure that you check your equipment and ensure that your port is enabled and transmitting good light. You may find it helpful to compare optical levels on the Megaport portal with those from your equipment. These graphs display the optical levels that Megaport is transmitting and receiving on our equipment. For more information on how to check the status of your Megaport service, check the on-screen link or see the description down below. Occasionally, a port will not come up in spite of a proper cross-connect having been run. In these situations, Megaport is happy to assist. However, it is important to understand the delineation of responsibility between the customer and Megaport. Customers must be prepared to address issues with their own infrastructure, as most data centers will not allow Megaport access to any customer equipment. Please make sure you are familiar with the Megaport Field Services policy at docs.megaport.com/finance/customer-field-services. As if no fault can be identified within the Megaport network, we may pass the field services charge back to yourself. This is a Megaport-enabled data center. There are hundreds of locations just like it around the globe. Megaport already has equipment installed here. Typically, Megaport will have one or more switches pre-patched to a patch panel in a meet me room. Usually, the customer will also have equipment installed at the data center. Once you have ordered a port on the Megaport portal, you'll need to submit the letter of authorization that we provide to the data center along with a cross-connection request. The data center will then connect the customer equipment to the patch panel. This is known as the demarcation point, or DMARC for short. It's important to understand that most data centers will only work on resources that you own. The blue cross connect shown here is owned by the customer, and Megaport does not control it or have access to it. In the event that there is a problem with the cross connect, Megaport is happy to assist, but it is the customer's responsibility to troubleshoot this portion of the circuit. Once your cross connection is complete, you're ready to configure services. Now that you've established a physical port on the Megaport network, you can add virtual connections to cloud service providers or any other port on the global Megaport network. Establishing a physical port onto the Megaport network is the first step. Once that has been completed, customers can then add virtual cross connections, VXCs, to their physical ports. Services are ordered and configured via a partner portal or directly on the Megaport portal. If completing a cross-connect is particularly problematic, it may be necessary to place a loopback device if fiber connectivity cannot be established. A loopback device sends the optical signal back from where it came. Placing a loopback device at the customer's DMARC can prove or disprove optical continuity, and Megaport may ask customers to assist with this type of troubleshooting. Once optical continuity has been established, there are only a handful of issues that might prevent a port from coming up. If this is a 1 gig connection, customers are required to enable auto negotiate on their equipment. Please ensure that your equipment supports auto negotiate and that it is enabled on the interface. If your port is a member of an LACP group, please remember to enable LACP on your equipment as is appropriate. Please make sure you are using a compatible SFP. Details are available on our technical specifications page at docs.megaport.com/tech-specs. If the cross-connect is complete, but your port remains down, please reach out to our customer service team by opening a chat session on our portal. Please be prepared to supply the Megaport service ID of your port, as well as the cross-connect confirmation and cable ID for your connection. As mentioned previously, if your service is experiencing a problem, it is important to rule out any issues with Layer 1 first. But before contacting Megaport support, please check for any maintenance work, service outages, or other planned changes. Typically, all such notifications will be emailed to the appropriate contacts. If you're not sure if you are signed up to receive notifications, you may wish to review Managing Your Megaport Portal account, available on our Docs portal. Once you've ruled out known issues like maintenance, it's important to check the status of your port and any associated VXCs, the optical levels, and the traffic. The first metric you'll want to check is your optical level. Please check your equipment to ensure that you're transmitting and receiving at least -10 dBm or better as reported by your SFP. You may find it helpful to compare optical levels on the Megaport portal with those from your equipment. These graphs display the optical levels that Megaport is transmitting and receiving on our equipment. If the optical levels on your equipment and on our equipment are within acceptable limits, you want to check the status of your port and associated VXCs as well as the traffic graph. This can give us important clues as to where the issue lies. For example, if your service is up and optical levels are good, but the customer reports that BGP is down and there's no traffic, we might consider that the peer is down or perhaps undergoing maintenance.
And that's it for Part 1. For Part 2, troubleshooting VXCs and more advanced troubleshooting actions, please click the on-screen link or the links in the description down below. I'll see you next time. The Voice of Megaport.